Look at that banner.
I'll wait till Tyler jumps on though.
You wanna
Mustache, can you send him the link?
I can.
We're live. Hello, everyone.
Phone's on silent. Phone's on silent.
Are you going to Instagram?
Hey.
No, I'm not going. No, because I guess it. You can't hide it for guests. You can't hide the vertical one for guests, so I turned it off.
I sent something. I sent that keyway. It's somewhere. I could have sworn I put a Ziploc bag or something with that stuff in it.
I'll look. I'll look for it.
Must have had a bag of screws and bolts there.
I got a lot.
No, all them were
screws.
Driven into the pallet.
Oh yeah, I got one.
You sure I didn't surround it by wood screws? Like put it.
I was going to say, did you hammer the keyway into the pallet?
I might have done that.
Oh, is this the? Oh yeah, I got a Joey special here. Woo!
Ooh, look at that.
You see that?
Some high quality.
You can't. There's no. The head's there, but it's not.
That must have been a frustration toward the end where I just sent it way home.
Oh my gosh! Look what I just found. I just found the key.
Look,
there you go.
Hot dog. We're good.
Why don't you put it on now before you lose it?
Yeah, slip it on there.
Why don't I put it in a safe spot?
Slip it on. just you put it in a safe spot.
Yep. It's good. It's on the bench.
Everybody's representing but me.
Yep.
Yeah.
The hell?
What?
Got t-shirts. We got hats. We got Snuggies over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joey's got a pillow. You put it on your hats on
Cowboy
hats.
in the shop. Y'all didn't get the cowboy hat for 3D?
Oh, I didn't know that was an option.
Cowboy up.
You need to get one of those for Texas Woodworking Festival next year.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Custom. High quality. 10-gallon. How's everyone doing tonight?
Good.
Is everybody ready for Snowmageddon or Ice Storm?
I'm ready.
Or
Yeah,
everybody go out, buy their bread, milk, eggs.
Yeah, they wiped
Food rations,
whatever
gasoline.
everybody left. They wiped the stores out down here.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's all over social media where the people are going in to buy stuff and the shelves are just empty.
I saw a news clip from a Houston news station that they said it was like him at City Hall talking with town representatives or city representatives and saying, we don't own any snowplows, just so you know. We haven't up to this date, and I'm pretty sure we're never going to. Because they only get snow, once every 5 years? If that.
Well, I don't even think it's even that, but it's like they're so close to the water, it's like it doesn't even probably, as soon as it hits, it's melting. You know? I mean, that's just craziness. Just stay at home. Don't go nowhere.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're not used to it. The state locks down. It's just done. What do you want? What do you want?
Yeah, for us, it's just kind of same old every day. Yeah, it's just business.
Another day.
Not down here. We're ransacking stores and buying all the toilet paper and everything.
I could
else
not imagine what would happen if Texas got 12 to 24 inches of snow, like what we're forecasted to get.
Dead, all dead.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be like a month long.
All dead.
Apocalypse.
It was
done.
It was negative 17 degrees when I got my pickup this morning.
Oh yeah, that's
with the wind chill. That's
negative?
like negative 34 with the wind chill.
-12 for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's block heater weather.
Ain't no way.
Yeah.
Ain't no way. My blood would freeze. Be done. That'd be a big old blob of just solid ice, just done, dead.
And us up here in the north, we're like, hey, let's go skiing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
If anything,
Kidding
it
me?
saves money. They don't have to make snow.
Yep.
Wow.
That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's the fuel is out in town. I went to
Really?
fuel up my truck when I got back in. They said the pumps are not communicating with the equipment inside. Oh, really? So I had to go into town about 45 minutes away to fuel up because I fueled up. Just, you never know. They're saying, oh, it's not going to get bad. And the next thing you know, we have no electricity. And, plus I want to work out in the shop. So I went and filled all the propane bottles up because I've been needing to do it anyways. I always do it. And that place over there, the power was out in town for half a day. So when you get over there, everybody is there filling propane bottles at the propane shop. It's craziness.
Oh, that's actually a good
And
idea. I should probably do those. I should probably fill my propane because that generator I got will do propane also.
So do
Who is
propane and
telling
gas?
me that y'all have to leave 20% in the bottle?
Yeah, that's typical.
Why?
Because the volume that's a lot of generators, for instance, will shut down at a certain amount left in the bottle. It has to do with the amount of volume it needs to run.
But somebody was telling me that the propane bottles, they won't fill them if you go past 20%.
If they're below it, you mean? If it's below 20? They probably just don't want to pick up any trash in the bottom of the bottle. Because I think they evacuate the bottle and then fill it.
Really?
I think so.
Huh. I was talking to these guys have been doing it their whole lives. It's a family that owns it. And I was like, I got some guys up there in the,
Great White North.
I just told them. And I said, they won't fill their bottles if they're less than 20%. And he's like, huh, we don't care here. I said, well, I know that. I mean, I was like, he's like, I don't know.
And then you can only fill it to 80% full anyway. You can't fill a propane bottle 100%. 100% is actually 80% full because the gas expands.
Gas will expand.
Been getting ripped
Otherwise
off
it'll be
this whole
popping
time.
off the overflow.
Yes, you have been getting ripped off this whole time.
They put it on a scale, and
Right.
that scale has been there. Who knows if it's even ever been calibrated? But that dang scale has been there since
They all
I
look
was little.
antique, yeah.
It's one of those old freaking antiques that you put the round weight on it.
Yep.
That's how they do it.
Yep.
And it's like,
I'm sure that round weight has been dropped and chipped and broken, and it's no longer 5 pounds.
I mean, it's just crazy. Anyhow, but I was like, it's a mad rush everywhere. Like everybody's just preparing.
Yep.
And I guess it just because of what happened the last time, I came in out of no, like everybody was just like, it's just gonna get cold. Next thing you know, we have snow and ice for freaking days, and we're like, what the heck is going on?
Well, I mean, Ted Cruz left town again, so y'all better be prepared.
Oh my God. I heard that today, and I'm like, hell, if I could leave town, I'd have left town.
Yeah, you're far enough south. It's not going to hit you, Joe.
It was. They were forecasting it there for a little bit. We got it the last time. I mean, I don't know. It's going to get cold.
Define cold.
54.
50.
They're calling for the
t-shirt weather here in New England.
They're calling. I don't care what y'all say. It's different cold down here. Different cold. It's different cold. They're calling for 20s, I believe.
Yeah.
All right, that's chilly.
We had the 20s this week. I thought it was nice out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Light jacket.
Especially if the sun's out.
Okay,
Especially
yeah.
if the sun's
The
out.
sun's out.
Dang.
That's the big thing.
Yeah.
Good for y'all. Good for y'all. We're not used to that.
Tyler, did you have snow down there in the Atlanta area this week? No.
No, it was just a little chilly, but not too bad. It was colder for front of the week. The back end of the week's just been wet, and and mid 40s. You know, just enough to be gray and ugly. So nothing too terrible. I think we're going to miss the worst of it. You know, it was supposed to come through here and be all ice, but I think it's going to be far enough north of us that I'd rather have snow than ice any day of the week. So
Everyone would.
even
Yes.
if it's 2 feet of snow, I would rather have that than 1 inch of ice.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Not that we're equipped to deal with either one of those things. So
What's Don saying? Crazy? Is it? They said crazy here. Windstorm prep today.
Storm prep. Everybody's
Storm
going crazy.
Well, it's going to be really, was it like Mississippi's supposed to get snow and then Alabama's not? It's going to, and then worse. I mean, there's supposed to be like a pocket that's going to be 70 in one place and like 20, 60 miles over. So just a giant front. So they're talking about thunder ice, where there'll be thunderstorms with sleet and ice rain coming through because of the different temperature gradients that it's going to go through. So it's going to be an interesting time in some parts of the Southeast. My sister called me today and was like, "Hey, should I get a generator?" Because she's in Southern Tennessee. I was like, "Never hurts to have one." So that was on her to-do list today to get a generator, and which should be comical because her husband is not the handiest of the crew. I was like, "Go stay with mom and dad. Just go stay with mom and dad." They got a whole house generator. They'll take care of you.
So they get the generator. Do they know what to do with the generator?
That's just what I was thinking.
That's my concern. That's my concern. I'm not there to help. I said, you can come south. You can go north to mom and dad, and you can be taken. But so they're going to get a generator. They'll figure it out. They're going to buy a propane one versus a gas one. I think is a good choice.
Yeah.
So just run it. You may run it once a year, but after you run it, before the next storm season pops up, go get it serviced at a small engine repair to get it checked out and do it again next year.
We won't need much.
All you got to do is put some fuel stabilizer in there, and when you shut it down, just turn the fuel valve and let it run itself out of fuel, and you're good. Yeah. But you need to periodically go and start it and just run it and work that gas in there, or it's propane. It's different, but the gasoline ones that I have, that's all I do. Stabilizer, start them up, let them run, and then let it run itself out of fuel so it gets the fuel out of the carburetor, and then we're good to go.
I always run stabilizer in all of my gas stuff. Like I'll put the stabilizer in the gas tank, and then I'll go to the gas station and fill the tank up. So it's always in there.
Yeah. I do the same thing. I have a fuel cell, like a 30-gallon one that you can crank by hand to fill up my mower and whatnot. But I over-treat the snot out of the fuel on purpose. Yeah. That's always stable in it. And then there's like an enzyme killer that's supposed to help with algae growing and whatever. And it's so far, knock on wood, not failed me.
Yeah, I learned the hard way a long time ago. And I didn't do it, and it gelled up that fuel. Screwed it all up.
Turned to varnish.
Yeah, and ended up buying a carburetor and a gas tank or another fuel tank for it, and then on a different piece of equipment. And then after that, it's just as soon as I fill it up the first time, fuel stabilizer with it. Everything I get. No ifs, ands, or buts. But like I hear a lot of people, we're getting a generator. I'm like, okay, but do you know what to do with that? Do you know? I mean, you got it, but what do you?
Don't run it in your garage. Don't run it inside.
Every year, there's somebody that gets hurt doing that.
Yeah,
and it's like, are you just going to run an extension cord inside? What's your plan? I mean, power goes down. You got a generator. Do you know what to do with it?
A lot of extension cords.
So this actually brings up a good question. I've been pondering this for a year or so. Anyone have any experience with all of these solar generators and battery backups for the whole house and everything, like either the Tesla walls or, the EcoFlows with the smart switcher that will charge off of the grid, and then, you can flip the switch and then your house is on the battery backup or anything like that?
No.
Because I honestly, I want to get as far away from gas powered equipment as I can.
So I've
Just for
looked
the
at it.
maintenance.
I've looked at it quite a bit because I also looked at when we were getting the Rivian about doing the car to home reverse. So because you have a 150 kilowatt battery in the vehicle, might as well be able to use it and still have a gas vehicle for backup if you needed to. So I've done quite a bit of research on it, but the price per kilowatt is pretty stout to be able to run your house off of it. If you have solar, if you have the ability to put solar in your house, if you're not in a HOA or somewhere that doesn't allow solar, it can start penciling because then you're cutting your electric bill and can fill the batteries off of solar. But if you're running it as a battery backup to the house that's on grid, but you don't have solar, it doesn't really pencil for me at least in a HOA. So it's one of the things that after the boys are out of school and we're looking at another house or longer term piece of property or a shop or something like that, solar and battery backup is something that's definitely on my to-do list. But from a backup power supply for the house perspective, my dad's had a natural gas or propane whole house generator on his last two houses because they were, I can remember growing up and us being without electricity for a week because of being in rural Tennessee. So that's worked out really well if you have a buried tank or you have natural gas supply available to you to get you through.
And it's such a clean burning fuel.
Right. Maintenance is much less.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. That's what I was going to say, Steve. Why not go with a whole house generator that runs on natural gas or propane?
Yeah. So I've thought about that too. I don't have natural gas where I am. It literally stops like 3 houses away. And the only way I can get it is if I pay to have it go down the rest of the street. So propane would be the only option I really had. And I don't have anything else that's propane in the house. So, it would be converting a few things over probably if I'm going to go that route. I don't want to just have a tank for propane because I don't know how it is where you guys live, but up here, when you get a tank, you don't own the tank and you can't just have anyone fill it. It goes with the propane company. So basically you end up leasing a tank and they're the only ones that will fill it and no other propane company will fill someone else's tank. So,
and they'll want to guarantee like you use that for your stove, you use that for your heat. Like they want to make sure that you're going to be a repeat customer to fill that tank regularly.
They don't want to fill it once and not come back for 10 years.
Yep.
Right.
Well, that's not right.
That's how it works up here, Joey.
Not. That's
capitalism.
You can't buy your own tank, like your own stand-up tank.
You can, and then no one will fill it.
You could certainly go buy one, but no one will touch it.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Wow.
I've thought about
we fill them here all the time.
I want to do a whole house generator here, but I want to run like we have a gas fire pit over by our pool. Put the gas grill on it, the whole thing, and then you'll never run out during a barbecue again. You just hit a valve that's on the side of the railing. Is kind of what I think is going to happen.
And up here, they don't bury those tanks. It's all got to be well, I don't know that it has to be above ground, but in my area, everything is above ground.
Right.
We don't bury them here. I mean, that's
the tanks corrode. That's why I don't like it.
So that's why I've been looking at the battery stuff because I'm just like, it's no maintenance basically. And I can, if I had to, I could run solar to charge it. I don't have solar in the house, but I could always get, panels in an emergency. And then it's supposedly smart enough where it will charge off the grid at, low, middle of the night, low prices and everything. You program it as to when you have all that, cheap energy. And where I am, I'm close enough to the urban city where, knock on wood, I think in the last 5 years, I've lost power like 3 times. And 2 of them are because of storms, and 1 was because of someone, took out a light pole with their vehicle. But when I lose power, even in really bad storms, maybe 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours at the max. I mean, we don't necessarily have problems up here in the Northeast where I am. I'm populated enough where, if you go more than 8 hours, that's like unheard of. Like I know people just north of us, just over the line in New Hampshire, or more rural Massachusetts, where they'll go a week without power because they're rural and they had an ice storm, and there's just
that was
no way to deal with
it. When we renovated this house we're in now. I pulled all the propane out and I went with electric. Worst mistake ever. Worst mistake ever. Just one of the deals, the food that you cook on electric does not taste like when you're cooking on a fire. So that's one. There's a difference. 2,
it's hard to smoke your brisket on electric.
Yeah, well, but when we did have power failure, you could just turn that stove on and burn it. It'll warm up that area quick with it burning. And the other thing is running a generator off of it. Also, there's if we do get an opportunity to do it again, that's gonna have propane's coming in, because I like what Jeff said. You run a branch out to the back patio and you have your gas grill hooked up to it. You don't have to worry about going back to the propane shop filling little tanks. Right. It's there.
Yep.
We actually did it at my father's house that way. He had a propane heater on the wall in his single stall garage. And he's like, I'm just going to be lazy about this. So I'm going to hook the gas grill up to it. And I'm like, that's going to be the smartest idea I've ever seen. Like, good for you. You must be on well water and septic, right, Joey?
Yes.
So I am the same. Part of my town is town water, town sewer, but a great majority of it is not. And that's the biggest catastrophe, having women in the house and they can't flush the toilet.
Yeah, well, you see, so like when the house is wired on, just when we have to put a generator on, I got a suicide cord. And I drop down a plug underneath the breaker panel.
Yep.
And I just go and plug the generator in, and I already know which breakers to kill and which ones. Obviously, the furnace, it's not going to hold the furnace, right? But the main things are the refrigerators, a few lights in the house, and the water well.
Yep.
And then the water heater. I can run them that way.
Yeah.
Or what is it? Is it a water heater or
that would be a hot water heater?
Hot water heater.
Hot water heater.
So
he's not even here.
But those are the things that really the refrigerator, as long as if it's cold like that, what we got to be careful with is like the storms out of the west or hurricane season. That's really the main thing. When somebody is a hurricane, it causes mass destruction, right? And you're going to be without power for a long time. So, that's one of the things that we got to be careful with down here, is having enough fuel, because they're gasoline, to run them. And I've had to plug them in once, and that was during that ice Mageddon that we had. And it was only for a few hours, because as soon as I plugged them in, they came out and it was sleeting. And I tell you what, those guys jumped up there and changed that transformer right down the road. And that was the only time we lost power. We're on a cooperative out here, so we never, knock on wood, we never lost power, except that day it blew that dang transformer right down the road. They come out, replaced it, and then we were back up. So, but having everything on propane, we wouldn't have no worries. We could have had heat. May not have been able to take a shower, but at least you were warm,
Reduces your electric load too.
Oh yeah, significantly
in a big way. So it's helpful. My grandparents, there was a point where before my grandfather passed, he was on an oxygen machine because getting bottles replaced on the regular was just expensive. So, Medicaid or Medicare, whatever it was, got him a machine, but it was critical that he had, electricity at all times. But he was in an area where he had gas stove, gas dryer, gas heat, gas hot water heat, like everything was gas. So we ran the entire house and had extra to spare on like an 8,000 watt generator. And it was just a standalone thing that, from Kohler, and it was fantastic. It gave him no trouble. And, it's still running now 12, 14 years later. So, but good on fuel, and it was very low maintenance in the grand scheme of the things. I think we only put a starter in it, to be honest with you, over all those years. So,
and those Generacs, what are the brands? There's Generac.
There's a Kohler, and then there's Generac. Generac makes another version, I think, called the Guardian. They're all same, all the same.
For the most part, even big generators down here, that's what you're going to see going down the road a lot is Generac.
Yeah.
They're from the big, huge freaking diesel ones, that
Caterpillar.
we use in our business. I mean, that's like the go-to stationary units. Except when you get to the huge units, well, they'll still have Generac generators, but some of them will have the Cummins engine in it. Right. That's usually kind of standard. That's the combination that they run.
Right.
So they've been around for a long time. I mean, to me, we were going to do one here at the house, but we're not sure what we're going to do quite yet. And there's a power pole that if I do it, I want that power pole removed and I want to bury everything.
Okay.
It's basically a service pole and it's getting old and I want it out of the way and I want to bury it before I that would mean having to put the house panel on the house, because when this was done umpteen years ago, they put the main panel on that service pole. And then from there, it goes aerial into a weatherhead and goes into the sub panel into the house.
Okay.
So and that's where on the pole is where the meter's at. That's the meter loop, basically.
Okay.
Right. So I would want to transfer all that to the side of the house. That way I could put my transfer switch there and then put the generator right there, everything and get rid of that pole. There's no need, but when you go to bury services, of course, that brings in a whole nother, you got to get them to come out, survey, tell you, okay, we'll only go up to this point. From here, you're liable to get it to your house. And then you got to go through a series of inspections, and that's just from the power company.
So that's pretty different from us here in New England. Here, it's the electric company owns all the way up to the weatherhead. That's their problem. And from the weatherhead down to your meter socket, and then your main panel is also your main shutoff. No sub panel, is all inside the house. There's nothing outside.
Oh no, not here.
And which I think is interesting that there's so many other places that the panel is exterior of the house.
Yeah.
That's just wild to me.
Yeah, that's how it's done down here. They'll put
I get it. I just think it's strange, but yeah. So that said, like, it's also become the standard over the past number of years that you really have to fight to put a pole up. They really want you to bury the utilities, and all the new developments, they bury all the utilities. There are no
for instances like we're fixing to go through, or y'all are fixing to go through with ice and everything.
Yeah.
Them having to go out there and the loss of power, the cost, the safety of the men that have to be out there repairing that, just across the board, it's extreme costs versus if you bury it, it's protected.
Not to mention, we got to deal with things that you don't have down there called trees, and they're constantly cutting back trees from
branches,
all the power.
Leaves.
Oh yeah. I can guarantee that the town next to us, I can guarantee this storm, they'll have at least 4 or 5 trees down with wires down. Every storm, it doesn't matter. Even though they cut stuff back, it's just so rural, and the roads are so, tight and small and
Yeah.
windy. But sorry, I didn't
I
mean to
mean,
cut
I
you off.
noticed.
No.
I noticed that when I visited my family in Germany years ago, like all the neighborhoods had all their power wires like buried. There was no
And
power
I mean,
lines or nothing.
From a utility standpoint, it costs way more to put it in the ground than to go above ground, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's way cheaper, but in the long run, with the outages that you got to deal with and all the other fees, et cetera, it kind of like, in a way, you just need to bite the bullet and go buried. That doesn't mean you're still going to have power, because the grid could get knocked down that you feed off 2 miles away and you're still going to be
Right.
without power. Right. But that kind of takes down the amount of area that they got to concentrate on. Okay. We know that it's going to be within here. Let's go figure out and fix it. Right. Like you were saying, y'all got to deal with trees. We
Yeah.
don't,
Well, and the other side of it is ledge. I mean, New
Right.
Hampshire is the
Everything's rock
granite
up here.
state.
yeah.
Yep.
Everything involves dynamite and a rock hammer. So
It's a lot tougher to stick those poles in the ground, but usually that's all you can do, because it's not like you're going to be able to trench in that. You're going to be wasting a lot, it's wild how it's so vastly different from one area to the other. I mean, how they get services, and it's crazy. But I did see, when we went up to Newport, I did see one of those saws laying on because I watch all that
trencher.
stuff.
Yeah.
Well, no, the saws to cut trees.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
When it's along those, high KV lines and stuff.
Yep.
And I was like, I told my wife, I said, look, that's one of those saws that they'll usually fly with the helicopter, and they're sitting there just trimming those trees down to keep them away from the power lines.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know,
Those things are
That's-
wild.
yeah.
Let's take 15
The one that
spinning
grabs-
blades and fly
Grabs
it
it
from a
and
helicopter.
chops it off.
Yeah.
It's wild
Well,
what those
they're
guys
string
do.
lines- They're stringing wire here with a helicopter too.
Oh yeah.
We have certain sections they'll do it all the time.
Wow.
Yeah, but stringing wire from a helicopter and having 15 spinning blades of death hanging from a helicopter swinging around high powered
You
lines.
say that,
There's a little
Steve,
difference.
Yeah,
say
but
that,
that wire
Steve.
grabs. Yeah,
Yeah,
spin
yeah.
right
Well,
up.
no, like they have it's like a gigantic J-shaped hook that they literally can grab the cable and hook it onto whatever insulator is on the top of the pole. Like there's no one there to detach the hook.
Right.
Like it's all pilot work. It's wild to see. Anybody can cut trees.
Or just even watching those yeah. Just those watching those linemen jump off those helicopters onto those
yeah.
they go KV lines, and they're doing maintenance
Yeah.
when they're
Yeah.
transferring that hook to transfer power over so they
Right.
don't get electrocuted. That's just freaking wild. And then they shimmy down those lines to the next one.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
my buddy's he's a lineman. He does that kind of stuff.
Like, you want me to ride that thing down? No.
It only tickles when you touch the ground.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then only for
Usually
a
not
second.
very long.
Yeah.
Those lines tickle hard.
Yeah.
It blow you up, blow you away. That's that's some wild stuff,
Well-
man. Those guys are crazy.
Yeah. True story.
Should we pivot and get into our continuation
topic?
of Sunday
We
show?
got a topic.
Sure, Ross. We can pivot.
Yeah.
Pivot.
Yeah, so we for anyone that wasn't listening to the show on Sunday, we were discussing software for CNCs and lasers, and we wanted to bring Jeff on here because he contributed to the idea for that topic, and kind of wanted to chop that up a little bit more. We got Scott and Tyler on too to contribute. So I don't know if one of you wants to kick it off or just
Well,
going.
I can. When I asked the question, it was really meant to just spark a conversation. You know, you guys were always looking for podcast ideas, and I felt like that would be something pretty relevant to most of the audience here, for sure. Now, myself, I run a cabinet shop and do custom furniture. So, as was said before, I only use one type of software. I use Mosaic. It's not cheap. It's far from the most expensive, but it's certainly not cheap. It's $125 a month anyway for the particular thing I'm using, and it really only does a narrow bandwidth of product. It does cabinets. That's what it excels at. And there's some little things in there that are options that are added, like an optimizer, for instance, for sheet goods, and it's cognizant of grain direction, for instance. So, like, I happen to be doing a big office right now where it's vertical grain Douglas fir, and it will align and cut, and set my panels up for cuts that way. So it accounts for whatever excessive waste there is under that particular circumstance. Because unfortunately, when you do grain direction stuff, that's what happens. It's, you're looking for something specific. But all the other softwares, like I've heard of Vectric, I've heard of Fusion, and Shaper 3D and all these. I also have a Shaper Origin, I should say. So I have some Shaper Origin knowledge, but that's it. I've tried SketchUp. I can't do it. I can literally build something faster than I can make a plain square panel in SketchUp. And I wish that was a joke, but it's not a joke.
It does have a learning curve.
It's definitely a learning curve. I just can't get my head and my hand to cooperate to create something in those programs.
And you build furniture?
I do. I do. And to be honest, I'd love to see it. And maybe there is. I've never done enough of furniture is so subjective to the particular client. So somebody comes to me and says they want a desk. We talk about what are the wants, what are the needs, what are the style things. What are we trying to match a particular species of wood in the house or a look or whatever. So it's very rare that I ever go to try and draw it out beyond a napkin drawing. I mean, I built the first 3.5 years of my business. I was doing whole kitchens off of napkin drawings, and I can kill it with a napkin drawing, but it takes time. You know what I mean? And it's just, I don't have that kind of time. So,
I mean, it's easy to get measurements, right? And then jot it down on a paper, go to cutting.
It is,
Under
but
promise, over deliver.
But it's not about that. It's about everybody looks at software in a different way. Maybe it's a better way. Maybe they can't rationalize how to do it or visualize it in their head. Like, clients, generally speaking, don't do a great job visualizing things. I think I think everybody would agree with that.
Yes.
So, like, go ahead.
The nice thing that with the program that you're running, Mosaic, from the experience I've got in it, with a friend of mine that's got a cabinet shop, he's using it to run everything CAM software.
Yes.
When he designs and lays out his kitchen, it'll give him a 3D interaction where he can print off everything and show the client, so that's a lot of that's doing it for him. Not like a SketchUp, but you're kind of doing it for your cabinets and kitchens.
Well, I'm doing it exactly for that reason, Scott. It's I want to be able to, it's very easy to give in a very quick way. You do one set of designs. You can literally, because a lot of the, Mosaic, not to sort of, push that product specifically, but cabinet products a lot of times are, or cabinet software are designed to have a lot of preloaded things. You know what I mean? Whether it's wall cabinets, tall cabinets, bases, bridge cabinets, etc. So you can very easily, do one set of designs. You can just take a zillion pictures of it positioned in different ways, so people can get different looks and where there's going to be fillers and all these little oddities. And the reason I specifically picked Mosaic was because if you paid one more step up, it spits all the G code out and sends it right to the CNC. I don't have to do anything different. All I have to do is upgrade the subscription. So I didn't have to relearn a program, and I don't need to learn G code. I'm not saying that someday I wouldn't, but right now it's not something that's that important to me at the moment. And it's very easy to manipulate something that is custom in there as well. So like bench seats, for instance, for a dinette, if you can come up with a couple different versions on your own and set them up once, you can just add them to your library, and they're there forever. You can manipulate them however you want, and it's super fast.
So my understanding of Mosaic is, I've never used it, but what I believe to be my understanding is it's very easy for you to, drop some base cabinets in and punch in that I need them, 16 inches wide and this tall, and just do it. And then if there's some measurement that needs to change, you can very easily do that and automatically adapts. And if you have 3 base cabinets together, it will automatically resize everything, resize your doors with just putting in the width of that cabinet. Exactly. Whereas, which is awesome because it's all pre-built and you just drag and drop. I need a base cabinet here. I need a upper there. And, this is a sink and all that. I think one of the things that you said is you don't need to learn G code. And quite honestly, from my experience, I don't know G code. I might know a couple of very little commands that, will be a start or an end to bring me back to a position. But within the program, I happen to use Vectric. And if you're somewhat familiar with SketchUp, where you draw a square, you do the same thing in Vectric.
In SketchUp, yes.
Right. So basically, if I'm going to make a drawer, right, I'm going to cut all my pieces out, I'm going to make that rectangle the size that I want it and punch in the sizes very similar to SketchUp where I want it this tall, this wide, and I'm going to place it. And then I'm just going to highlight that, and I'm going to say, make a tool path, a profile that I want to cut inside or outside that line. And then once that's all squared away, I just export that. And because it knows what CNC I'm using, the post processor in that application just automatically formats the G code specific for, in my case, the One Infinity Foreman Masso Elite. And I just take that file and then just upload it right to the machine, and it shows up, and I highlight it. I put my board where it needs to be. I zero it, X, Y, Z, and I hit go, and it just goes. So I don't need to learn quote unquote G code. Yeah. So if that's one of the things that you were concerned about with some of the software, I wouldn't worry too much about that. I think 95% of the people I know have no clue how to do G code, right?
Yeah. A piece of it is that. A piece of it is just general design stuff. You are correct with Mosaic. If you change something, if you want to change a dimension, for instance, make a cabinet 18 inches wide instead of 21, it's a very easy manipulation. What it does do, and I don't know that SketchUp or others will do this automatically, is, when you initially get Mosaic, they will sit down. Part of the deal is that you will sit down with one of their techs for an hour or two of training that's included, and they'll have you design a cabinet the way you want to build it, and that becomes your blueprint. So if you're a guy that likes to do 3/4 inch back cabinets that have dados all the way around so that the cabinet self squares, and you want to stick with a specific, like I put up some pictures the other day of some dovetail drawers, half blind dovetail drawers here. Every time you manipulate it will manipulate your joinery as well. You know what I mean? Like when I picture using SketchUp, because that's the one the others I've tried, I couldn't even fathom how to, if I can't draw a 6-sided board, how am I supposed to draw a dovetail? I can't do pins and tails. I'm sorry, I can't do
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Let alone how to manipulate it, or if we wanted to do all kinds of funky kinds of joinery. So that's where that program really shines to me. I just didn't know, I guess, is there a program? My guess is going to be no. Is there a program that you could use universally to do laser stuff, CNC stuff, something else that or they each have their own little nuance. So you kind of want something that favors just that.
Yeah. I think the short answer to your question is no, there is not one to rule them all. There are a couple, I think, that can be used somewhat universally, like a good design program like Shaper 3D or Fusion would be probably the most available to use across multiple things, where you can make a design and you can export it out for an STL for your 3D printer, or you can do whatever you need for your laser program to do that and import into that. And your CNC, you can import it into the software that's going to run your CAM for your CNC. Now, Fusion, if you're going to pay for the super duper stuff, you can get that to control CAM. I mean, Tyler is a perfect example. He uses only that, and you can certainly talk more about that. But I think the short answer is no, there's really not. There's a couple that I think that everybody in the space uses, and everybody seems to use the same things. Mostly if you're CNC focused, it's Vectric. Mostly if you're laser focused, it's Lightburn. And Fusion might be that one that encompasses kind of all of them, because you can do a whole bunch of stuff. And then really my experience is that the folks that are just strictly furniture really kind of stick with SketchUp, because that has been around, and it is parametric and it can do that. And there are plugins to help you do dovetails and half blinds and stuff, but it's a plugin and it's not awesome. But so that's the short answer.
Do you think makers that are using SketchUp are actually doing the joinery, the detail of the joinery in the SketchUp, or are they just doing it for the visualization?
Probably not.
It's to draw it up, and then they'll figure out the joinery when it comes down to doing the joinery.
It's probably just the leg into the stretcher. It's nothing.
I agree with Mike.
Mike's answer. Mike's answer is
I mean, if you're going to use a lot of dovetails, there's really only a couple different aspect ratios for them that most people are going to use, right? If you're using hardwood or softwood, and it's basically a 6 or an 8, 1 and 6, 1 and 8, and that's pretty much the standard across everything. Now, where it gets interesting is if you're going to really hand cut those, because now you can, you're still going to have that same angle, but now you're going to be able to vary your thickness on your pins and your tails and everything, and make it not look like a machine cut it out. And I went over to my Lee or Rockler dovetail jig and just ran a router through it. So
Right. I got you.
You're not going to practice with those saws?
I am. I will, but I mostly collect them at this point.
I mean, if you're doing box joints or something like that, you can design those. And if you're using Fusion, for example, they have box joint, fitment where you can click a line and it'll, or you can click a box and it'll create the line so that it'll have a box joint. So when you take it out to cam, you can cut those and it'll do the dog bones. It'll do everything that you need to make sure that you'll get the proper fitment, those types of things and those types of joints inside of Fusion. But like we said last week on the big show, I don't think there's one thing that will do it all. Fusion's the closest to me, but I'm not going to do something simple that I might need to do on the laser, inside of Fusion, because I can do that easily in Lightburn. Same thing if I'm doing a large engrave or something, or if I was trying to do an engrave or something, I would not do that in Fusion. I would do that I've done it in Carbide Create. Carbide Create's very limited on what it can do, but it was a heck of a lot easier to do that engrave in Carbide Create because it's fitting that mold much better than what Fusion would do. And then you said Shaper. I use Shaper Studio for really simple things.
That's why I love it, is because it's so dumbed down.
It's really simple for really simple things. But if you've trained yourself to think, and this goes back to what you're used to, if you've trained yourself to think about something in the Fusion space, and then you get into Shaper and you're like, okay, I want to do this. And I would do it not that way at all. Yeah, right. And so you're having to really change your mode of thinking. And I will stop, sometimes I'll just stop in studio and go, all right, we're going to go sit down in Fusion. It's going to take me a little bit, probably not any longer. But I'm going to have to then export the DXF. I'm going to have, or SVG, and then import that into Studio. And then, I'm going to have to take additional steps to get there with it, but it's going to be much quicker and easier for me to get the output that I expect versus, slogging through in Studio. It'd be the same thing you do in SketchUp, right? And I think the big misconception, and I don't think we broached this last on Sunday, was you're having to think in 3D all the time, when in reality, with any of these tools, you're typically starting 2D and then extruding up to a 3D space. So even for something like a dovetail, you could literally draw your angles for a dovetail and then just extrude your board.
Right.
Yeah. Then you take your other board and you extrude a board out, and then you just do basically a union of those two things, and it'll do a Boolean subtraction so that it would actually get the actual finished joint would be in there, and you wouldn't have to draw two sets of the same joint. You basically get one joint drawn, throw it in there and tell it to combine. And when you do that, it'll cut out, the corresponding material. Then you got tolerances to worry about and everything else to worry about that you would run into. But I think the learning curve, and the one thing I said was, when you start sketching in Fusion, constrain your sketches, parameterize your sketches, because those will be the things that you can then start moving stuff around to get the outputs that you want.
Okay. So now I have a really funny question. You've seen these laser modules that would go in a, let's say, Onefinity CNC.
Yeah, JTEX.
Which software do you use?
Lightburn.
So Lightburn would control the CNC and that laser module?
I don't know if the CNC piece is ready yet. I know they've announced that Lightburn has like a CNC module.
Mill Mage.
So you could do your design in whatever, and you probably do your design in Lightburn. You would export the G code out of Lightburn to then take into the Onefinity controller, because the Onefinity controller is what's going to drive the actual motors. But you would do your design in Lightburn, and then you would export that out to G code to be able to take it into it. Same thing I know that they've got them for the Avid as well. There's a bunch of different laser modules. The biggest thing for me in laser modules and big CNCs is, sounds great, except for you're cutting with a laser. Where are you going to vent it? Where are you going to get, where are you going to extract that out? Where you're going to do an engrave? You're typically going to combine and engrave. And I think then, in my perspective, unless it's a really detail oriented thing where things have to be crazy lined up, I'm just trying to put an engrave on something. Cut it with a CNC, throw it down, throw your diode on it, mark it and move on. But if you're trying to mix the two operations at the same time, then what's the best tool for that application?
I got you.
I'm sure we're going to find out shortly because Mike Lido is getting a JTech from Onefinity.
Really?
Yeah. So they I hope I'm not spilling the beans, but they reached out to him because of his first responder status, and they had one available, so they're shipping it to him.
Nice.
That's cool.
That's cool. That's what that return
yes, that upgrade. Yes,
deals for
100%.
I'm glad he's getting one.
What's the return deal? What am I?
So Onefinity does upgrades and returns. So like if you upgrade your controller, you return your other software or hardware rather. And what they'll do is they'll turn that into a military first responder donation to someone who's trying to get going.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yep.
Very
It's been around for hell, I think since they started, right? Pretty much.
Yep.
You have to sign up each month. I went in there for 6 months and signed up for it. But every month you sign up and it's like a drawing according to their website.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
That is. I've never heard. I mean, that's cool that, somebody that we know is getting one. And, it's cool. That's what it was designed for.
100%.
I grabbed my little box for coasters, which I didn't. The pattern that I got for this was I think the website was makercase.com, and that did, you specify like what your length, width, height is that you want, and like this is just a little oh my gosh, what
or something?
yeah, this is basswood actually, but for simple little box like this is fine, and I put my logo on the bottom and stuff, and like it just spits out the file. I brought that into Lightburn, cut. I had to like dial in my cut to do those and everything, but like there's ways to, I think Tyler said there's like a box joint jig kind of thing in Fusion that you can use, but
and
every program's got its advantages.
And it'll put its own. It'll put you can put fitment tolerances and things like that. And those are the things to think about when you're either A, choosing the software, or B, using the software. Is picking things that allow for fitment, allow for tolerance. Sometimes we all get into the thing of if we measure it to that, surely we can get it to fit after, and then we find out that there's a variance in the plywood, so things don't quite fit, or our planer wasn't quite what we thought it was when we milled it down, and then things get a little sticky. But those are always the things you got to think about, is how, because you can design to very exacting dimensions in the digital space, and then when you move it to the physical space, things no worky the way that you thought they should. That's where parameters will save you, because like in 3D printing, the number of times I nail the tolerance the first time, the next time I do it will be the first time that I do it, where you get those tolerances right, either because you're trying to design it too tight, or material shrinkage, or whatever you might run to when you're actually moving it. And you can see the gap when you're zoomed in on your screen. There's this much of space between those two parts, except for that much of space is 0.3 of a millimeter, and then you hit print, and You know, why don't these two? I don't understand why these two things don't fit together. No different than no different than wood.
Yeah, I think where some of these digital programs really shine is not only the parametric modeling, where as you make those changes, much like Mosaic, you can enlarge or shrink those designs, and all of those things will work together, provided you're giving it the proper constraints and making things tangent to the other things and all that stuff. But I think the other thing that really makes it some of it shine, in my opinion, SketchUp had it over Shaper 3D, was the grouping and the components. So it was a lot easier at the time that I was doing a lot of the work in SketchUp to make that component and be able to reuse that component and pull stuff in from the 3D warehouse as well, and separate all those different components. So the door from the frame, from the side, from the top, the bottom, all those different things. It's easier once you create one that you can then make a component, and then when you use it and you have to resize it, both of those doors will resize properly. You don't have to resize one and then go resize the other one. So I think that's kind of where these shine.
Will most of these programs point out a conflict in your measurements? So like
no.
Okay. So like Mosaic,
well,
if I try and oversize something for a specific reason, and a perfect example would be I want to build a cabinet, but I don't want to attach the scribe on the outside as a separate stick. I want it to be integral to the face frame. If I tell it I have this much space, it won't allow me to do that. Like I have to either oversize the room or I have to manipulate something else, whether it's size the cabinet smaller to be able to make the face frame overhang in a particular way. So it will point out those conflicts to me immediately.
So I shouldn't say that it won't do it. Some of them will, but and Tyler, you can probably speak to this better. But in things like Fusion and even in, I believe, SketchUp, you can put constraints on things. So it has to be, parallel to this, or it has to be perpendicular to that. Okay. And this has to be, 18 inches. Like this line must be 18 inches. And everything will work around that. And if you put those constraints in certain spots, it will work that way, and it will give you that error and say, no, this can't, or it will automatically resize that other piece to fit within those constraints, provided you did all those constraints correctly.
Okay.
Constraints are your best friend and your worst enemy.
I was going to say, all I hear is conflict.
Well,
but I'm sure that I get the logic behind it. But yeah, I could see where it would be chasing.
So I mean, there is like collision detection and stuff in simulations inside of Fusion, but that's like beyond what you're really talking about. Of is saying you want to oversize a face frame so you can scribe it, right? Yeah, that would be something that you would not. You could very easily do it. If I drew a box, for the room in Fusion, and then I drew whatever I want to. You can draw whatever, as long as I've not said my face frame is going to be, meeting this plane, and it would be then outside that next plane where you could then, take it and work from it. But again, Fusion wouldn't be my choice for cabinetry at all. If it would take you 10 times the hours if you were good in Fusion versus what I bet it wouldn't even be 10. It'd be more than 10 times the hours to do it if you were good in Fusion versus what you can do in Mosaic. And then not only what you can do in Mosaic, but Mosaic being able to very easily get that out to a file that you either can hand off to someone because it's a standard, because you're having somebody else, cut your panels or something for you on a CNC before you, do the assembly or the build on site, that whole workflow, the amount of work that you'd have to do in Fusion to get, and I think, Jeff, you and I might have talked about this when I was going to do a renovation for my aunt-in-law and her kitchen and her bathroom about, even buying Mosaic for a couple months, just to do the design and not have to do it with a non-cabinet specific tool, because that would be a big lift. And then also the visualization, because there's nothing worse than having a client that, can't visualize, can't see what you're drawing. And then you get into the house and they're like, that's not what I thought it was going to look like at all.
I mean, one of the, so like the issue, I used the overhanging face frame scribe situation specifically because when you create a project in Mosaic, you create a room. And the idea is that ideally you're putting in what the actual dimensions are for the room, because it will catch your anomalies, right? It'll tell you what you need for scribe and where to hide it, where you can, within reason. If there's certain situations, doors open a certain way, you may want to put a scribe in a certain spot to offset cabinetry and whatnot. So that's where oversizing a face frame is a real problem, because it thinks the room isn't big enough, right? But then there's other pieces of it that, and you brought up a good point, Tyler, is that when I did invest in the program, one thing I had loved about it is, when I want to print the job, it gives me assembly stuff. It gives me blueprints for every single cabinet. It gives me an inventory of what I need for product and all those kind of things. But I could also send that job to another shop and say, cut this for me. If I was in a pinch, that is an option. And if I went to the CNC version, that's also an option, because then they wouldn't have to do anything but throw plywood sheets on the CNC and just rock with it. So there's a lot of things that it's not for everybody by any means. It's certainly not inexpensive by any means. But if this is what you do, it's
inexpensive. It's like anything else.
Yeah,
I mean,
you need it.
The thing to have, So
if it saves you if something's even if something's ridiculously expensive on a per month basis, if it saves you 10 hours per month, that's the one thing you can't get back from either a production perspective for yourself or a quality of life perspective to spend with the family. That's something that you can never, that time you can never get back. So I think that's the thing. If you're a hobby, there's the levels. There's the hobbyist. There's I would say the maker. There's then the side hustle, and full professional. And I think the spectrum of what you'll spend on software or the solution can vary up and down that spectrum. But it also could be that I want to be able to design something. I want to be able to build something, even if I'm a hobbyist, or moving from hobbyist to say maker. I want to design this. I want to build this. My fun's in the shop, so I want to have a tool that I use in the digital space that allows facilitates me to get to the making faster. Right. So you may end up spending more money than you really want to on that, but then you get to actually do the thing that you want to do. Some of us like to piddle. Some of us like to do the digital design work. Some of us like to do the full gambit, but some people just want to, I want to make it. I want to design it. I want to make it. I want to build it. And that's it. And, maybe throwing a little bit of extra money at that versus, the new whiz bang tool will let you use the other whiz bang tools that you have at your disposal, faster.
Yeah. I think that's an important point too, is how you're going to use the tool or what your expectations are to get out of it. Because, you can just use a piece of paper and a pencil and get a lot of the same things that you can kind of do on a basic SketchUp, right? I mean, myself personally, I don't necessarily consider SketchUp as a precision tool. for what I'm doing. It can be, and I'll put all those measurements in exactly, but I think of things like Paper 3D and Fusion as tools that I'm going to use for much more precise things, like additive manufacturing as opposed to subtractive. Because when I'm in SketchUp and I'm cutting mortise and tenon, I'm going to sneak up on that, right? I don't need that to be, dead on in my SketchUp model. Yes, I need it to be close enough, but whether that is slightly off by, a little bit isn't as important to me in SketchUp as it is in some of these other programs. I don't know. That's the way I think of it. Maybe that's the wrong way to think of it.
No, I think you're spot on. I mean, like for my CNC table, for example, I've gone into that model and modified things because I was going to do, drawers on both sides, and then I decided to put the laser in, and I keep going into that model and modifying it and everything, and it's not going to be completely accurate. I can take measurements because I did that whole step before I built the model, but I can grab those, and they're rough. They're not going to be exact, but I'll just do the fine tuning at the end once I go and put my drawers together and all that other stuff. Like I can do all that. And going back for a second, what Tyler said about like visualization for clients, I had a desk that I made for a friend of mine, and he was not following. I was trying to explain it to him, and he's like, I just saw his brain just go south, and he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, all right, hold on. And I went into SketchUp and I designed like the basic structure and everything, and then I just cloned 3 different versions, and I did one with like a higher shelf on it, another with a different version, and I just sent him the video. I was like, here's this version, here's this version, here's this version, and he's like, oh, okay, now I get it. And like that for a lot of people that you're going to be making things for, just that visualization of what you're trying to explain is crucial, because like
it can also be for yourself. If so if you're doing furniture, or something, and you're wanting to build something, like Scott wanting to build something big, right? But you still need to know what the proportions of the leg assembly is going to be to the top assembly, because I'm going to build some big chunky legs, and you build some big chunky legs, and then you put the top on it, and you're going, wow, those are really chunky legs. Yeah.
They're there. You're right.
They're too big. They're too chunky.
Scale is so important.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And material's not cheap. It's a lot cheaper to at least get close. You I don't know if you would nail it to get it perfect in SketchUp or Fusion or something to really be able to see it versus the physical world. But I think that it gets you at least a lot closer than just going, okay, I'm gonna not to scale sketch it. And then I think the interesting part, and this is more not today, even a little bit today, but it's becoming more approachable in the hobbyist, the makerspace, or even the professional, but not like say the corporate environment, is
AR, VR.
being able to bring in the AR, the VR, and like place it in a room to see it in the room, so you get a sense of scale. Something that's never been possible except for like an IKEA level, somebody being able to produce that and then have an app where you can place it in the room. And now with 3D standard 3D files that can be output out of a lot of these things that can be dropped into an iPhone or an Android and place it in the room, I think is really interesting for both makers, but also maybe for professionals that want to kind of kick it up a little bit with their clientele to show a piece that they've done before in this space, to kind of give them an idea that could be really interesting. So I think the investment in learning those things can have a return either hobbyist maker, or especially the professionals are trying to up their game a little bit.
Awkward. There's a whole lot of talking there.
What were you talking? I don't remember what you said. I heard like the first couple of words.
I'm confused and I run the crap. No, I'm just joking. There's just not a one-stop shop. Not a one-stop shop.
Yeah.
Apparently so.
Good example, like rotary work. I run a Spire. Initially, I bought a Spire for doing my 3-axis. What I'm doing with just straight rotary, that's fine because you got your wrap. It takes a flat piece of paper and they just wraps it, and away you go. Well, now that I've got the new CNC where I've got 4-axis now, trying to do 4-axis stuff with Aspire, you can't do it. You can, but there's a bunch more steps, and to do a 4th axis, you got to treat it like a different job. Like I can stop the rotary at a certain spot, mark it, go pick another file, come back and move my X over and do what I need to do. So I started looking into Fusion, got the hobbyist version of that because you can do 4th axis stuff with Fusion. Started playing around with it and now figured out that I have to pay for the A version because in the hobbyist version, they do the same thing. I can do the same thing in the hobbyist version as I'm doing Inspire. They treat it like a wrap. If I want to do true, no. If I want to do the true 3D 4th axis stuff in Fusion, I have to pay for it. I don't get you have to jump up to that.
What does Fusion cost now? What is that monthly fee? Is that like about $100?
It's $85 a month. If they're doing a sale, or it's $85 a month. If you want to pay for the whole year, it drops it down to $65. I think it was.
Yeah, I think there's 3 versions. Well, 4. There's the free version, the hobby. Good.
Yeah, there's the 3 version. There's the Fusion for manufacturing. There's a bunch of different options available to it. Just depending on what you're trying to get out of it. But about $680 a year, I think, is just base Fusion. Fusion for manufacturing is going to jump up. I'm looking right now about another $1,000 for $1,632, and then for design, where you can do simulations and all sorts of other things, it's approaching that $2,000, and it's $1,752. So it really depends on what you're doing.
That's if you pay 100% up front.
Yeah.
Click on the monthly price, and because I thought $600 a year, that's pretty good, until I clicked on I want to pay by the month, and it was like $20 more. It's like, come on, they get you.
They gonna get you.
So, but for you, is it worth it, Scott? Is it worth to pay that since you have the work? Obviously, like one of us that are just hobbyists and not, that's kind of like out of the question.
So it's worth it for me to get the tool to do what I want it. I can get it to do what I want to do, only the way it's doing now with the wrap, it rotates and then comes back, and rotates and comes back. I could probably knock 15 minutes off each run if I can get it so it's running one direction the entire time. And then also on my tool where I'm doing the same cut, because when you cut one direction and then go the other way, it's harder on the bit one direction. One you're doing a climb cut, the other you're doing a whatever cut it is, and it's hard. I can sit here and I can hear that bit chattering against the wood. Or one way it's smooth, one way it goes, it's rough.
So the things that they don't tell you, again, when you buy that, thinking that you're going to be able to run Aspire. I mean, you can, but it's not a good way to do it for your consumables.
No, and
That was it.
Aspire is a great software. I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty decent with it now, and I can usually get done what I want to get done with it. But there's no good 3D fourth axis stuff with Aspire. And they're probably working at it. It wouldn't surprise me. But for that one-time fee, I think it aspires more than paid for itself with me right now. I just got to figure out if I want to justify paying for Fusion.
But now you run another damn file, another program, another payment.
Yep.
Another learning curve.
And it's just like and that's kind of the frustration with some of this stuff is they get you into this. Okay, you want to do this? Well, now you got to buy this.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of, the folks at Vetrix, and I'm pretty sure they know, and I'm not griping at them, but they've known and they're probably working on it. But right now at your point, you're like, well, dang, now I got to look at maybe paying the $700 for the year.
Yep.
To try to do it on top of what, you just bought that big old machine. Now you're adding on another fee on top of that you got to do, and it kind of seems to be the kind of standard, you're going to do laser. We have light burn. So we can't find one, going back to Jeff, there's not a one-stop shop. You want to do all these multiple things. You're going to have all these multiple services to be able to do it. And there's no way around it, really.
Well,
So
that's the nice thing with me too. If I want to cut out a kitchen cabinet, I'm going to run out and use my buddy's software for Mosaic, and he's going to spit out the program, and I'm going to come and load it up, and away I go.
Right.
But if you didn't have that option, then we're going to go back to the old way, like Jeff did on a napkin, and start cutting.
Yep.
I mean, honestly, are you going to pay for Mosaic for the one-timers that you're going to do?
So you can't. That's the other thing.
Oh,
you sign a 1-year contract every time.
Mm.
When you want to enter into that space, you do a 3-month trial, and then you either commit to the 1 year or you don't. And it certainly is not getting any cheaper every year.
Yeah.
When I started, it was, I think, $95 a month, and now it's $125 a month.
Yeah.
Scott,
I called my buddy.
You're going to need
my buddy today on the Mosaic, and he's paying like $325 a month.
Yeah. So if it's just one user at the moment, and you get the CNC capable version that will do G code as well, it will optimize sheets, and it will spit out labels to a thermal printer, so that you can label your parts. All the updates are included, but that's $200 a month at the moment. Now, that's a very low cost of entry. If you're a guy that you're a 1 or a 2-man shop and you're going to do everything, design, sell it, build it, you need to make assembly sheets for the other guy in the shop, and you just had one CNC to just hammer out parts all day, it's a really great system. That's why I went that route. But I know there are more elaborate versions out there as well.
And you can cost justify that in one build.
100%. That's why.
Right?
It's 100% correct. Yeah. And it's so easy to me. Like, your sales becomes infinitely easier when you can hand them a product, hand them a picture, and then, what do the interiors look like? And you hit one button and all the doors disappear. And you can manipulate drawers and change whatever. And it's also nuanced to the specific hardware manufacturers out there. So, like, if I want to use Lamello clips, it already knows it, and it will put in that adaptation. If I want to run, we're talking Salice Progressa slides.
Yep.
It does all the geometry for that, and it will accommodate that in the drawer boxes and whatever else. If all of a sudden on the fly those weren't available and I want to go back to a Bloom slide, then All I have to do is change that, and it will manipulate all the drawings accordingly. And I don't have to do anything. It's a one-click change. So to me, if that was in SketchUp, that's a different animal. You have to
That
go
would
back
be an hours of work.
hours.
Well, I mean, the key thing that you said there, Jeff, is that your customer, that you can show them, you know, if I'm trying to also secure the customer, maybe I'm doing some design work before I've formally got everything in place.
Yeah.
And, you know, that means hopefully you're going to make that on the back end if you get the job, but the faster you can get a render out to the customer, the better you're possibly able to secure that. And Scott, I got bad news for you, Bubba. You got to get the machining version to do Fusion 4th Axis.
What?
And the price goes up.
No, I was doing my research.
I just looked and it said for fourth and 5th axis, you have to have the machining version, not the baby cam version.
So, but Jeff, for you right now, even with Mosaic, are you outputting it to a CNC from there to cut your stuff?
No, I have one step below it. So I have it set up where it will optimize the sheets to a sliding table saw or a track saw or what, you know, like you can, and it will even account for your thickness of your blade, what you're going to lose in a curve. So
that's pretty sweet. But if like on Scott's side, like his buddy, if you could just go in there, input your measurements and say go, it spits it out, makes your parts, and boom, it goes to the CNC. Now your overhead's a lot more that way, right? Then you're running, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of machines to do this, to have this capability. You got to be a lot bigger outfit to do it, right? But that where I'm going with it. But the program, I didn't realize when you said drawer slides and you just input that and it does all the geometry. Yes. There's no thinking. It's just
that's what's awesome about Mosaic.
Yeah. No, there's no thinking, even so much as if you change a style of hinge. If we go to, I frequently, here in the Northeast, framed cabinets are a standard. They always have been until you hit Boston. And then we're starting to see frameless pop up. It's just too fancy for the New England crowd, unfortunately. But from a build standpoint, it's fantastic. You could really crank out a lot of cabinets and have a lot more usable interior space when you don't have a face frame. So if you wanted to draw out an entire kitchen with face frames, and then they say, hey, let's go to a frameless with a full overlaid door, you got to start from scratch. I mean, yeah, you kind of know what your cabinet layout would be, let's say, but the reality is you have to redraw it all from scratch. Not with Mosaic. You can just change which set of parameters that's working off of and go to town. Same thing with if you decide you want to build with nothing but pocket holes, it will manipulate to all butt joints and pocket holes, and it will bump all your dimensions accordingly.
Wow. That is cool. I had no idea that it did that. It was that extreme.
And it's very nuanced in terms of it has Sherwin-Williams paint colors that are authentic. It has Corian. It has different solid surface materials. It has, 100 different versions of wood grains and different stains. And a lot of it is very brand specific. Periodically, I'll work with laminate, for instance. So Wilson Art's a big one. Another one is Tafisa, which is a laminate company out of Canada. And you can get their very specific types of laminate with the edge banding and all their stats and specs and thicknesses and all that stuff. It's already in there. That you couldn't go you would have to go through so much effort in terms of extra categories of stuff to add in SketchUp, for instance.
Right.
I know there's a big catalog of things you can add, but
Which Mosaic. So being that we were at the con, all of us, right?
yeah,
And Celiche had the catalogs there. So
Yeah.
I'm assuming through that catalog, you could pick the part number, input it into Mosaic, and Mosaic would then in turn around know exactly. Is
I
that
don't
how it
even-
works?
I don't even have to. I like what happens is when they put out an update, you download the whole update, and when it says select hinge, it will list out every hinge option available from Celiche and from Headitch and from DTC and from Bloom and from Grass. There's hundreds and hundreds of options in there. And you just select which brand and which hinge, and it will manipulate the drawings that way. And when I say manipulate the drawing, it will give what your expected offset is supposed to be for when you bore the hinge pocket in the door. You know, whether it's a 2 millimeter offset or a 4 or a 3 or whatever it is, it'll take all that stuff into consideration.
Wow.
So it's very
So it should be,
yes.
so it's like having your own, CAD drafting person,
Yeah.
Team.
on
Yeah.
hand,
Yes.
so you got to think of it being it's not a $200 tool. It's
not a $200.
it's a $5,000 a month tool, because you're not having to employ someone to do that level of drafting for you. I mean, that's like anything else, finding the efficiencies to be able to do it. Next thing you know, Jeff, it'll be $200 and you'll just be able to say, "Hey, Mosaic, hey, Mosaic AI, this is this is the room that I have. This is the specs that I have. Go create it for me."
It's coming.
It's
That-
coming.
there's
Without
a
a
doubt.
100%.
So a prime example is Lido right now is building a built-in for a friend of his family. They have a big room that's over the top of a garage or something, and it had an arched window and all this other stuff. And he's like, "Can you do the design work for me in Mosaic?" And I sat at my daughter's softball game for 60 minutes, and I did it while watching the game on a Thursday night. And then I sent it to him, and he sold the job by Friday. And now he's doing the work. But it was easy to just send him that and go, "Hey, what do you want to change?" And then he texts me back. I spend 3 minutes and change it, and then I ship it back off. And he's like, "Done. It's sold. I'll send you a check."
Wow.
I mean, I'm looking.
It
I
took
know
6
Mike.
hours though, Jeff, right? It took 6 hours. You're on a podcast.
Yeah.
It took 6 hours.
He's gonna listen to this.
He knows it didn't take long.
It's okay. It's built into the price.
I know Mike from Broken Lad said something about what was that program? Snap 3D
3D Snap.
3D Snap.
or 3D Snap? Yeah, and he takes his phone and it uses LiDAR and it just scans the room, and
Really?
he can import that right into Lightburn. Or I'm sorry, not Lightburn. SketchUp.
SketchUp. Yep.
Yeah,
Wow.
there's a few of those. What was the one that Ronnie was talking about?
Polycam.
Polycam.
Yep.
Does the same thing. That'll do not only images, it'll do LiDAR, whole bunch of different things. And you can even set it to just do wireframes if that's what you want, just to overlay stuff. And that can be imported into a bunch of different programs too. But yeah, there's a ton of different programs out there that you can just use your phone, the LiDAR in your phone to scan.
But I mean, just going back to Mosaic, like Jeff said, when the customer's not sure if they want to go, framed, frameless, you can literally have the dimensions, set it up, and give them 3 or 4 options. This is what it's going to look like in color. Which one? Which one do you want to go with?
Well, plus door styles.
Right.
You could slab door, or do you want raised panel? Do you want whatever? Granted, this is never going to take away sales work to 100%. Like for myself, for my clients, after they've made a decision and they put some skin in the game and there's a deposit taken, it's all right, let's get you an actual mocked up floor. Or, a lot of times I have that stuff, but nonetheless, or a set of finishes on the actual material. If it's a material I didn't have that I'd worked with recently, for instance, like Douglas fir, I don't do a lot of things with. So like this particular office project that's in the works is, I dropped off 8 samples today, but it was cut out of a sheet of Douglas fir plywood with solid nosing put on it to give them legitimate options, and they can walk around the house and match it up to whatever they want. And that kind of.
So you gave them panels, did finish on the panels,
Yep.
and then dropped it off for them to be able to take it and place
Yep.
it in the space versus having the virtual. So you've gone
Right.
into the physical space already with them. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. So
A lot to. It's interesting, all the stuff y'all got to go through. I don't have any means to, or not means. I don't have any. What's the word I'm looking for? I
Frame of
don't want to
reference.
do that. I want to just stick to my boxes. Let's just stick to my boxes. That's crazy. There's a lot to it.
and lighting. That's a whole nother.
Oh, lighting
whole little
engineer.
wing.
Yeah. Lighting specialists.
Because we do a lot of lighting.
Is all that in Mosaic now too? We're in cabinet lighting and under cabinet, or
Yes
is
and
that not
no.
quite there?
It's kind of vague. It's
Yeah.
really hard, especially based on what the finish is, to anticipate what the reflectiveness will be based on whatever light choice you have. And then if you go and buy Amazon strip lighting versus
All right, an
somebody
actual
real, that's a different
or something.
that's a different animal altogether. You know what I mean? So, but that can, like this particular job has puck lighting. I haven't done puck lighting in a long time. And I had to go and finally invest in a kit to bore into 3/4-inch panel puck lights that are completely hidden. And now I got to groove out the whole back of this upper cabinet section so I can hide all the wiring. So God forbid this thing ever fails. It's going to be I'm going to have to put an extra connector in somewhere and hide it, like behind the puck. So
That's always a thing that I've always, getting the light mounted, hidden,
yeah,
and then trying to hide,
that one real quick.
That's all, folks.
Nondescript, Joey.
And then hiding the wiring,
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot to that, man. There's a lot to thinking, the stuff that y'all got to go through to make it look nice. Because, I mean, we could just, as consumers, we could just say, this is what we want, make it happen. And then, hence the cost, custom, there's a lot to it.
Yeah.
A lot to it.
Well, and a lot of those
even going
LED
with puck
strips.
lights.
Say that again.
Yep.
I'm surprised you're even going with puck lights now that LED strips are so commonplace.
So this particular client, this is the same house that I did that whiskey bar conversion. They had a library that was 12 feet tall. They have 12-foot ceilings, and they wanted to add lighting. So I cut all the face frames out of the existing cabinetry and widened them, and then recessed a groove in them so that I could put 80 feet worth of tape lighting, specifically cob lighting, hidden into this. There's dimmers, there's all kinds of stuff going on that's all hidden in this. And when they went to this, I said, well, do you want LED strip just like in the other room? And she's like, no, because it's going to be all frameless. So you're not going to have a place to hide the light. I said, okay. What do you want to do? She said, well, let's go with puck lights. She's an engineer. She owns a sheet metal company, like a precision sheet metal company. And she's, pretty fussy about what she likes and doesn't like. which is good because that means there's somebody that's decisive in this equation. That's a lot of times that's a fight, is if you give them too many options that they can't choose, or they ponder over it forever. So yeah, puck lighting was not my first choice. That's why I actually had to buy the kit to recess them. I haven't done one like this in years. So, but we'll see.
Interesting.
Wow.
So
Wow. Cool. Well, we kind of went all over the place with this one.
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah. What do you say?
We
Put a
did.
ball on this one?
40 minutes of Snowmageddon talk. I mean,
Yeah.
Jeff wanted to know about the other options, and then we learned all about Mosaic.
Sorry.
We did.
Oh no, it's really interesting.
No need to apologize at all.
No,
This is why we're here.
No.
That's love. I love hearing about that.
Is this Patrick from the West Coast? Patrick? Is this our buddy Patrick?
It's me.
It's Chubbs 981.
I don't know.
I don't-
I can't see the chat stuff.
No, I don't think that. No, you're thinking John, right, Joey?
Yeah, but isn't his name Patrick?
No, his name's John.
It's John. I don't know.
Build their own
Has
CNC.
anyone built their own CNC controller cabinet?
What would be different about the CNC controller? A CNC cabinet? Is it just a physical empty cabinet?
Yeah. I'm assuming that's what he means. Just
Corey's,
go ahead.
I'm gonna maybe was talking about like actually built the.
What does he mean, a controller?
With the controller, like taking a controller.
Oh, for the electronics.
Yeah, taking the cabinet, put your own controller in there, put your own stuff. I mean that's something. I mean that's what Masso is. I mean it's its own, controller.
Yeah.
That, like Winfinity's built it into the
Redline.
system, right? But Masso is an off the shelf controller that would allow you to build a controller cabinet and put all your relays, your switches, your power supplies, everything that you need in there to drive your servos and stuff. So I've not done it. That sounds like a big tinkering job to me. It'd be really fun to do if you got the time to do it.
I would think you just
You
have
have
to
the
it
time.
filtered or vented, right? In my head, I would think a cabinet like that, you'd need to have a fan in it, obviously, but with a filter behind it, just to scrub any
Yes.
dirt that's getting into those things. I mean, that's really I would imagine that's the biggest piece of it, right? Mind you, I only know about Mosaic. I don't know shit about the rest. So,
Does your Avid cabinets, do they have cooling fans on them? I think
Yep.
they did. Don't they? Yeah.
2 of them, one on each cabinet.
Yeah. Yep. Well, at least mine, of course, the what you call it, the converter. God dang it.
VFD.
Yeah, the VFD has a fan within itself, but then it has the fan on the box, and then the box with all the electronics has a fan in there to flow air through it. Or at least
Well, I haven't
mine does.
opened
I don't
up-
know about Scott's.
I haven't opened up that one yet. Well, I guess I did, but I didn't pay attention. I just opened it up to get to the screws to screw it
There's
onto the side of the frame.
there's a lot of boards and a lot of wiring, and just like,
Yep.
okay, shut it. Plug everything in from the bottom.
Yep. It's running, so that's all I care about.
How did the
That's
how did the 100, what is that, 10,000 RPMs? What did you run it at? 350? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I was 350 was a little fast. I had to slow it down. I think I ended up at 250 at 10,000 RPMs, but I also increased I actually increased it up to 11,000. And it was running real. I think that's the ticket right there. But that's also going to depend on what species of wood I'm running too. I mean, this was on silver maple, which is a softer wood.
And how big of a cut were you taking?
I dropped it down to 1.5 inches at an 1/8 inch.
1/8 inch with half inch and a half
With an inch and a half step over.
step over. Yep.
On a
Yep.
3 or 3.5 inch bit.
3 3/4.
3 3/4. Okay.
The spinny blade of death.
Yes.
God.
Almost
It's
like the ones that
not
they hang
that
from the
bad.
helicopter. It's not that good
It's
either.
not, it's not
That's aggressive.
that bad.
It's
Come
aggressive.
on.
Don't want one of those
That's-
cutter heads flying off.
That's a weird flex.
That's why you stand back.
You were standing right over it the other night. What are you talking about standing back?
It wasn't running. Or
So-
was it?
Oh,
No, it was
yeah,
right.
sure.
Patrick, my avid, I use Vectrix for the CAD, and the cam is Mach 4. Now Scott just bought his Avid, and it's a little different. There's a newer version. It's not called Mach anymore. It's called
CNC 12.
yeah, and that comes with the CNC. Well, you got to buy it, but it's in of the cost of it. But you still have to buy a cam software. I mean, a CAD software. That none of that's included. So you mostly everybody goes with Vectrix or Aspire. It's just I like it. I'm pretty sure y'all would all agree that that's kind of the way to go when you're buying one. I think he was concerned about putting the CNC together. That Scott's got a 5 by 16 foot long CNC behind him. And he put it together. What'd it take you? 4 days, 5 days?
It probably took me all of 5 or 6 days. Piddling around at night after work here and there.
They got good
Yeah.
good instructions to put it together. I mean, it's kind of fun, I think, if you're into tinkering with stuff, but you get to know the machine as you're putting it together. So you learn all the parts, what they're called, and which makes it somewhat easier to troubleshoot if there's issues. I feel the machine
really,
is good.
If you're getting like a 4x8 or a 4x4, like this, here's a 4x4, Joey. Yeah. So the reason mine took longer, it's 16 foot long. So it's like I'm building 2 CNCs.
Yeah.
And it took me quite a bit, but I mean, as far as putting it together, it was easy. It's just a little time consuming.
lot of
Pardon
parts.
me if you not knowing, are the Avid machines all modular? Like if
Yes.
you wanted to, you could change yours to a 4x16 if you wanted.
Yeah, I could go longer. If I wanted to go wider, then I'd just be basically buying a whole nother machine because now you're changing the
Right.
width of your gantry.
Right.
But my whole thing that anybody that's ever asked me about those CNCs, I told them go 5 foot wide minimum. You can go what, up to 6 foot, I believe, on them.
No, you could. If you call them and want to do a special, like I did a special to do the 16 foot, but you could go up to 8 if you want, 7 and 8
Wow.
on special applications.
The only thing they'll balk at is the height of your gantry, because once you start, you can get an extended Z height, but the size of the riser blocks on the side, because then you get to where you might have a little bit of sway in there because it's so heavy and so robust. Is if you go taller, they kind of like, we don't like to go any taller than what like Scott has. I believe Scott and I have about the same height on the gantry, but we both have the extended Z height, which allows you, if you wanted to, if you were going to be doing some mortising, you could get longer bits where that Z height goes up more and you can get down in and get into some deeper material. Now, your gantry may not go over it, but you can set it up to where it'll reach it, because that spindle sticks so far over the front of that. But it's robust. And I've always told everybody that if you're going to do it and you've got any inclination to go longer, it might be good to figure in the wiring while you buy that shorter machine so that they send you the cords long enough to when you're ready, all you're doing is buying the extrusion and a few other like the rack and pinion gear rails that you'll need to extend it. The wiring will already be there. They'll have enough length on there. But I mean, I've ran, I mean, I don't know. Scott's been running it. I mean, mine, I like it. I'm not trying to do anything like Scott's doing. Mine was just a bunch of 2D stuff. I've never had any kind of deal to do 3D crap. Just not my thing, but just cutting simple stuff out. I mean, it works great.
I'm interested to see when Scott gets the lathe and everything. Yeah.
We got the parts for it now. So
did everything come in, or are you still waiting on stuff?
Nope, everything came in yesterday. So
oh, good.
I probably won't start on it this weekend because I've got to finish the 4 bedroom sets. I got to finish the 8 nightstands. So hopefully I start that on Sunday, but I won't probably mess with the rotary until I get that job done.
Now, is it an 8-foot rotary or is it a 6-foot rotary?
Yep. No,
so
it's an 8-foot rotary, but the frame came in 6 foot and then 9. So it's the dimensions are 9 foot wide or long, but it's only an 8-foot capability. So I'm actually thinking about just setting it up as a 6 foot. It'd probably end up being a 5-foot rotary. And then if I ever come across where there's a job that I have to do 8 foot, then I'll have to put the extension on and tear it apart, rebuild it for the 8 foot and do the job and tear it back down. So
Patrick, you could probably reach out to Scott once he gets more familiar if you're just right now researching, and he can tell you more because he did buy the rotary attachment for his CNC. And I mean, I suggest calling Avid and get an appointment with the salesman and just talk to him and tell him what you're looking for. And they'll set you up everything that you need and, you know, talk you through. They're real good. I know when I ordered mine, I had no clue about CNCs. That was my first CNC I bought. And they explained, walked you through, asked you, what are you trying to do? Hell, I said, I don't know. I just want to cut some wood. Tell me what I need, you know. But they're, you know, joking. They're all very good over there. I've got nothing but good things to say about them. I never had a complaint.
Asking about your power, you end up running your power.
So what I did is I've got 240, like 5-6 outlets in my shop that are set up for 240. I had to move a bunch of my equipment around. So I had an outlet on the wall that was running my planer. And I actually converted that over and put a box on the outside of my my 220 outlet, put a box over it, and I ended up hardwiring it. And I got the line that came with that, since it was 16 foot long, I didn't have enough power. So I ended up hardwiring it got the right line, hardwired it to the main box, went in and just took their cord out, put my cord in, and then hardwired it direct.
You have two 220s, one for the spindle, one for the machine, and then
so there's
120 for the.
No, so there's one 240 that I ran, and then I have a 110 or 120 that comes off the spindle that I have to plug into a 110. But I think that's just for the light on the spindle for lighting up the button to show that it's safe to eject the tool.
And then the control boxes are 110, 120 as well.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Yep. So I'm running 2 110s and then that big 240.
And don't you have an air compressor for it too, or something?
Yeah, I got to do something different there.
So not to confuse, not to confuse Patrick. Now, Patrick, you got to understand that Scott's got the 8 horsepower spindle on it. He's going to put auto change tool on it once Avid releases it, right?
Yeah, they've released it. They've done pre-sales on that, but I don't know if I'll pay for it. I don't know if I'll do it. What
I'm trying to get with him is that it's got a lot more options on there requiring different power and air to run it. Now, if you go with I think what do they have, a 4 horsepower now spindle?
So
I believe.
So what they've got on this new deal, they've got the AV40. Oh, is there 3 of them or just 2 of them? I know they got an AV40, which was a 4 horsepower, and they've got the AV70, which is 7 horsepower. And that's what I have is the 7 horsepower. And it's a true 7 horsepower.
I could tell you that the 4 horsepower came out a little after. I have a 3 horsepower on mine, and 4 horsepower came out after. And what mine requires is just a 240 volt line and a 110 line. 110 for the electronics, 240 for the spindle. Now, you on those. You have to manually change the bit out, and that's just with the call. It's got a collet on it, and you're going to take wrenches and put your CNC bit. Scott will be able to set up multiple bits on his auto changer and get everything ready for whatever he's going to do. And it's just to hit a button and it'll do it by itself. So his requires more power to his machines plus an airline to operate the switch that holds the collet. What are they called? Well, you were showing it on the end of that surfacing bit.
What do they call them? It's I looked them up. The ISO 030, the ISO 30 or whatever.
Tool holders.
Yeah. But so I don't know, because I wanted to say for that tool changer, they're asking they did the pre-orders on it, and it goes in the back of your machine between some of the rails. And when it goes to change, it'll have an air activation. It'll come up out of the bed and it'll do the change, and then it'll go back down, and then it'll come and touch off to the touch plate, the automatic touch plate they got, and away you go. But that was like, they're asking like $2,800 for that. And after playing around with this, you just push a button, drop a bit out, put a new bit up, let go of the button, and it's changed. It's that quick.
I mean, for your application, for your particular application,
I mean, I can change a lot of bits for $2,800.
Yeah, for your particular application, where you're doing a flattening and then maybe doing a cutout or doing a recess or something like that, you're going to have one tool change. For me, for example, where when we release Surface, having to have you're really needing to have 3 bits to do the work, a drill a drill bit, a cut, and then also a chamfer bit. All of those would be 3 changes, and it would be really nice to have that level. But I mean, even the quality of life, just to be able to push a button, drop a bit, throw one in, versus having to get wrenches out. I agree that's a step in the right direction right there.
And I say that now, but wait till the shop banking account replenishes itself a little bit. I'll probably end up having it.
I mean, and then you get into different things where you're like what Tyler's talking about, and you're having to bore holes, cut, and then maybe throw a chamfer in there or do something. Then you're going to be like, well, hell, I can just set this up, walk away, go do something else in the shop while this thing operates, and just keep an eye on it. And then you don't have to be messing with it. I think Scott will end up buying that auto tool changer.
So like when I did them, when I was doing them big pillar, I still got 6 of them pillar bases to do. There was 3 bit changes in that, so and I was trying to get it down to where I was only doing less bit changes. So I would use a smaller bit to do a certain job when I should have switched bits.
I bet you those jobs go a lot quicker with the new machine.
I hope so.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's about what tool and
Mhm.
at what level. If you get rid of wrenches on a CNC and just be able to go, I mean, that quality of life improvement. Yeah, that's
So Jeff, the question is now, Jeff, when are you going to buy a CNC?
So I've contemplated one for a couple of years now, and what I keep looking at is a 5x10 from Shop Saber with auto tool changer and a vacuum bed, but it's around 65 grand, and it's not something I have space for at the moment.
You just build a shop, bud.
Well, listen, we started with the shed, and off the front, it will grow.
Timber frame, baby. Timber frame.
That's it. Timber frame, buddy.
So Jeff, if you got questions, I do have a company that we've grown to be pretty good friends that have a Shop Saber.
Yeah.
There's the 5x10 tool changer that they use for their cabinet shop. And then I have another shop that I actually work with real close in my hometown or my town I live in now. They've got a hog house. Okay. But that one's like a lot more. It's probably a HAG, HAAG or something like that.
Okay.
Or H, but that one's a lot. It's going to cost you a lot more than the Shop Saber.
Yeah,
but doing more in the Format 4 range.
But that's got, it's got like
it's only money.
It's got a spindle on it.
We'll make more. Yeah, can't take it with you.
But do you have 3-phase?
No, not currently.
So
that is something in the works for the new building. We'll probably put in some big phase converter.
Yep. See, Steve's good at throwing those little nuggets in there like that, and he suckers you in doing things. We were
look in the bio. Look in the bio.
We were sitting here one day, and that's how that fool got me with all these different damn hand planes I got now. He's like, "It's only money. You go out and make more."
So Tyler and I, John Bullough.
Yep.
He just bought a Shop Saber.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say it because I didn't know if it was public. I didn't know if it was wider public knowledge yet. But
I don't know.
It is now.
And what did the machine? I think the machine. I think he did it before the end of the last year. So
yeah. So he's. I talked to him last week, and his shop's. He's not in the new shop yet. Yeah, the machine's in the new shop. He's not started working, so it's. But he's excited about it.
And he
about good.
And I had a long conversation about that at SplinterCon, and we're very much on the same wavelength as to how we would have used. Like he and I sat there and designed some cabinets in Mosaic while we were there.
Yeah.
He's already running Mosaic himself, and I said, well, this is the reason I went with it, and we kind of bounced ideas for a couple of the nights back and forth. And he basically is just a step ahead of me, but basically doing the same thing. Like he's going to run that machine, and he'll probably run pieces for other shops as well to kind of keep it busy, at least for the interim, and that's even better because you can kind of nibble away at other people's, whether it's overflow work or, design work or cutting parts for them or whatever. But yeah, same blueprint almost.
Yeah. Was that before Tito's or after Tito's?
I was before, and he doesn't drink, so.
He was another one. You get one. You get one. And you get one. And you get one.
I mean, John and I talked about it. We've talked about it for a minute now. We were talking about Cam Master as well before they went belly up. So glad that glad that wasn't the path that anybody chose with their exodus from the field. So
Yeah.
I'm sorry. He's got a home mag,
Okay.
Oh my.
is what he's got. I was close.
You were close. Who you calling a hoe?
Well,
And there it went. On that note, the kids are getting a little antsy in here. We're going to end this thing
Or it really goes off the rails.
But anyways, I guess until next week, we'll come back and do another one. Talk about something.
Sure.
But there we go. All right, guys. Y'all have a good weekend. Safe. Bundle up. It's going to get cold. And don't be licking any poles out there. Bye.